This week, Lab TV travels to an Air Force research lab in Dayton, Ohio, where engineers are powering some cool devices by perching them on power lines.
What we do is we harvest the energy directly from the power lines, so these systems can operate 24/7, 365 days a year. You don't have to replace batteries, nothing. You just install them, you walk away.
These engineers have figured out a way to harness electricity from power lines without going into the wires. But when they started this project, they had a lot of questions.
One of the questions we needed to answer was, could we put cameras and radio transmitters and receiver on a power line and have them work without having the power line causing interference? And what we found out was, yes, we could. So once we determined that we could put things on a power line and they could work, the next step was now we needed to be able to actually harvest power from the power line and power the electronics.
The type of power in power lines is called AC, or alternating current electricity. Batteries use DC, or direct current electricity. Those electrons only flow in one direction. With alternating current electricity, the direction of the current reverses, or alternates, 60 times a second. So the charge at the ends of the wires alternates between negative and positive. That creates a magnetic field around the wires, which is the key to power harvesting.
These systems will get their power based on inductive coupling. When current flows through power lines, current emits a magnetic field. This magnetic field is existing in all the power lines all over the world. What we can do is we can take advantage of that and come up with a circuit that surrounds the power line and actually captures that magnetic energy. By capturing the magnetic energy, we can turn it back into electricity and use that to power a variety of circuits and electronics.
That
battery. The next guy was actually powered off of the power line using our power harvesting techniques.
And these devices, perched on power lines, would be pretty hard to spot.
They're installed off the ground, they're 50 feet up, so they're kind of hard to see. If you're driving down a road, they almost look like a part of the power line.
Now that they can harness the electricity, they're developing small helicopters that will lift the sensor devices onto the power lines.
In this particular configuration, it takes all 8 props to lift a 10-pound payload, which is with the weight of this particular sensor. So as the sensor technology gets better and these become smaller, this aircraft can also become smaller.
And eventually we are going to have a rotary version of these sensors that will fly up 1,000 feet, for example, take a couple of snapshots and then fly back down.
Once it lands on the power line, it will transmit back the information. And using induction, it will also start charging itself.
That means we could take a system like this, put it on a power line in a remote location, and you could be sitting back in your office 2 states away or across the country, and you could have access to the imagery.
It's like when you're a kid and you're working on your bike. It's like that times 1,000. I love it. I love being an engineer. Electrical, of course.
So there you go, folks. It's just like working on your bike, except it's going to be used for spying on innocent Americans. So it's really not like working on your bike. But that's why they call it the military-industrial complex. It's about tapping into very intelligent individuals who can bring us a lot of good and a lot of positive things as far as technology to make our lives maybe easier, better. But it seems like all the technology that we have is only available to us because our masters allow us to have it. And so, yeah, they have a big pool of these intelligent people to tap into that they can exploit and create all these evil little objects that are going to be used to just further enslave us. But so that was a little bit I think that was from June of this year, but I just came across it and I thought I would post it in this video, this news bulletin, where I'll cover some Big Brother and then roll into some other news as well. This first article is opt out of a body scan, then brace yourself. This is from the New York Times, and I recommend just going here and reading the actual article, because the way it reads, it's better to be read by yourself. But it's pretty ridiculous what's going on here with these body scanners. This person going through there was basically talking about, because he wanted to not go through the body scanner, since he didn't want to go through the body scanner, he was basically harassed, and it was made publicly by the TSA that he was opting out. And then it moves down here where he comes down and he's actually asking them, well, how long has this been required? As far as giving your wallet and giving all these personal items, such as a Kleenex, even a handkerchief. And the TSA agent said, well, all the time, we've always done this. And that's the protocol, is that they just change the rules, change the law, or change the procedures. And, you have to just live with it. You don't really have a choice. You just, if you want to travel, you got to be subjected to these very demeaning procedures. And it's all in the name of fighting terrorism, which is a big phony scam that's basically made to, take care of any of those people out there that respect their privacy and their liberty. But it goes on there and says that the agency told me that there were 317 of these advanced imaging technology machines now in use at 65 airports around the country. About 500 should be online by the end of the year, the agency said, and another 500 are to be expected to be installed next year. Ultimately, the agency plans to have new machines replace metal detectors at all of the roughly 2,000 airport checkpoints. So this is what I'm saying. They're going to replace metal detectors, and that's how they phase it in. It's all just incrementing people like sheep. And, whether you want to go through it or not, enjoy the luxury of having a choice, but you're going to be harassed if you don't, and you're going to be viewed as a possible terrorist, right? Because if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to worry about. And that's just the typical fascist model. So, they're just going to replace them with metal detectors, and eventually you're going to be forced to go through these body scanners, these naked body scanners. Next one up is Pittsburgh International to debut body scans at all checkpoints. All passengers going through security checkpoints at Pittsburgh International will be subject to screening by high-tech body scanners. See how they're calling them now high-tech body scanners? As if it's some kind of progress for mankind, as we, just fall right down to this hellhole we call Earth and life. It's miserable, dude. This is all considered progress, high-tech body scanners. No, they're naked body scammers. And they're taking pictures of your naked body, and if you trust those people that are holding those images to keep them private, well then, you're too naive. It says the move isn't related to bomb threats investigated Friday at airports in the United States, England, and Dubai. It's a more advanced and secure way to detect threats, TSA said. So, going to keep moving on here. It says TSA to phase in new pat-down procedures at airports nationwide. Airline passengers can expect to see, as well as feel, new pat-down procedures as U.S. airports over coming weeks. In an effort to provide another layer of security for travelers, the TSA reported on Thursday. I covered this in my War on Terror, Liberty, Sovereignty video. You can check that out. Straight from the Department of Homeland Security, where they said they were adding more layers of unexpected and unpredictable security measures. Again, all in the name of a possibly false flag terrorist attack. With this whole postal bomber thing, in which both the clergy, the synagogue in Chicago, and the people representatives in Yemen said, we don't even allow UPS to fly out here. They don't fly in or out of here, so we don't know what you're talking about. And then the same situation in Chicago, where said they weren't a target for terrorists. So, like I said, it's all just a big sham, and please don't buy into it. These pat-downs are for people like anyone that does not want to go through the body scanners. So if now they're making it even more difficult to go to the airport and travel and avoid these body scanners, because now you're going to have to go into a more intense frisk. And like I said, it's... yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. Not just hearsay. Ear scans could ring in changes at airport security ID checks. So we got biometric facial scans, we got thumbprint scans, we got body scans, and now we got ear scans. Said you heard of fingerprinting, passport photos, eye recognition, but the latest airport security measures could see your ears being scanned to prove your identity. Says researchers have discovered that every person has uniquely shaped ears and have formulated a way to scan them to compare them with images already compiled in a database. Says the latest idea in biometrics could supplement other security techniques like iris scanning already being employed to combat the threat of terrorism and illegal immigration, right? That's what I said. That's what it's all in the name of. So if it's all in the name of a false pretense, right? Like 9/11, which is, you can go into the Gulf of Tonkin or Pearl Harbor, or even just a financial quote crisis. It's all staged. It's all done by design to consolidate their power. Consolidate the power of governments and corporations and private councils and that to basically further their agenda of global government, and that's basically all it has to do with. And it's a world where you have no privacy and no rights, no property rights. You don't really vote, and that's what a brave new world is. And there always has to be these crises around the corner, so you're being bombarded by all this propaganda. What do you do? Who do you turn to? So for those people that say, you know what, we shouldn't look to the past, we need to look to the future. Let's not look at Iraq and the fact that it was all based off lies and why we went in there and the humongous base that we have built and at least a million Iraqis that have either been killed, mutilated, have fled that country due to our invasion. That was all based off false pretenses. But let's not look back. Let's just keep looking forward, and let's keep those blinders on, guys. New speed camera can catch drivers committing 5 offenses at once. Motoring organizations give promise system. Sorry, it's worded really weird. It says motoring organizations give promise system a cautious welcome as long as it is not used just to raise money. Well, of course, that's what they're for. And, of course, spying and tracking you, right? It says a speed camera designed to catch motorists committing up to 5 offenses at the same time could be heading to Britain's roads. It says, as well as catching speeding motorists, the asset camera should be able to pick out drivers who are not wearing seatbelts and accurately measuring distances between moving cars to identify tailgating. Says asset advanced safety and driver support for essential road transport can also note number plates, license plates, and recognize cars without date, tax, disc, and no insurance. Wow. So it's basically phasing out the traffic cop, if you ask me. But that's what it's all about, phasing out the human element in this brave new world, because it's not going to involve a lot of humans. It's going to involve a lot of machines with some little plebs or dumb slaves that are left over after all the hardcore eugenics and wars and famines and pandemics that have been carried out on us. Whoever's left is going to be able to man those machines, and I can assure you they're not going to have too many brain cells left after all of that. But it's funded by the European Commission and is being developed by a consortium that includes a number of European universities and research institutes, being tested in Finland. So, scariest speed camera of all. It checks your insurance, tax, and even when you're tailgating or not wearing a seatbelt. And that's an actual little display of it. This is what they provide governments and cities and that. Check it out and sell it, and market this, So, and the sad thing is that there's actually people out there that believe in this, crap, right? They believe in the war on terror. They believe that terrorists are out to get them. They think that they have to give up all their personal security because they're not doing anything wrong. And they're going to keep going, and they're going to keep voting for these people to keep enslaving them and passing all these laws like the Patriot Act. And, the next president will come in, and the old president's gone. Let's not look back. And we got a new president. We got change. And, he didn't repeal the Patriot Act, and he keeps renditions and abductions going on and torturing. And he didn't close Guantanamo, and he bailed out and all the bankers that stole all the money from the people. And, that's what I'm saying. There's dumb people that actually think that they voluntarily pay their taxes. So, if you believe that, well, then you go ahead and try to not pay your taxes voluntarily and see what happens. TSA to overhaul screening methods after bomb attack. Ooh, an overhaul, like the financial overhaul. Must be good. Good positive thing. No, it's not. Next one up, Social Miner. New software allows employers to spy on Twitter, Facebook, and social networks. Recommend you go check this out. Brazilians will be forced to use RFID chips and GPS trackers in their Google in significant breach of UK data. UN calls for higher taxes to combat climate warning. What? Thank you, everybody.